Good evening, I'm James Goodale and you are watching the digital age. You know, the dot-coms are having a resurgence. You might even say the bubble that burst is being reinflated. And one of the companies that's really doing well is 1-800-Flowers.com. And we're here tonight to discuss to see whether 1-800-Flowers.com will turn into 1,000 flowers that bloom. You remember that phrase? Will 1,000 flowers bloom? How great will 1-800-Flowers.com become? And here to discuss it with us is Jim McCann, who is the founder, president, CEO, and the star of 1-800-Flowers.com. Thank you for coming by.
None of the above is true.
None of the above is true.
You
are the founder, though.
Well, I'm the founder of the company that's now called 1-800-Flowers. I'm the CEO of the company. And I have this brother whose name is Chris McCann, who swears he's the president of the company.
He's the president.
And I'm willing to believe him, since he really runs the shop.
Oh, so I just denigrated him unintentionally. So what is your official title?
I'm the CEO.
You're the CEO. Mm-hmm. Chief Executive Officer, but he's the president.
He's the president. He's the one who does all the real work.
He does all the real work. And I was just thinking that this is your fourth, we think, time on the show.
I think we have to stop drinking so heavily so that we can count past 3.
Right. Oh, you think it's 3?
I think it's 4.
You think it's 4?
Sure.
You were here before,
4 very pleasant experiences.
4 very pleasant experiences.
Well, we'll see about this one.
As I recall, you started your business on First Avenue, running a tiny little flower shop.
Delivering flowers to all those rich guys like you there on the Upper East Side who were smart enough to go to the right schools and become lawyers and do great things.
Yeah, you've had a tough time with this company, I can see that. And you were then a social worker, so you had an overlap?
My first career was in the social services. I worked in a home for boys called St. John's Home for Boys, which does the good work, as so many people in the helping and social service and medical and teaching professions do. I was privileged to work at that craft for a long time. And the last 10 years that I was involved at St. John's Home, I was involved in the administration. So while it's wonderful and rewarding work in every conceivable way except for one, and the one, of course, is that it's in the not-for-profit world, you're not paid a lot of money. And so I was always doing things on the side. And one of them was this little flower shop you talked about on First Avenue in 62nd Street, Manhattan. And so for 10 years, I did that as a part-time business until it grew to be a substantial enough business that I could switch careers and make that my full-time and social services my part-time world.
Well, I want to know, here you are, a social worker, and you start this business on First Avenue. Did you ever think that it would grow in a company that we're going to discuss in greater detail that looks to me is that you're at $500 million? How many dollars did you have that first year in the flower shop?
Our first year in business, we did $58,000 in sales, and we had a good year. So the answer is yes, I really did. My dream, we're always adjusting our dreams, and so I've always been adjusting my dreams, and my frustration is we aren't where I want it to be yet.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
But we're working
From
toward
58,000 to 500 million? That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, but I'd rather it start with a 1 or something like that. So yes.
Well, when you had the flower shop, was Christmas season a good season in those days?
It's funny, as a flower, in the flower business, that is in the retail floral gift business that we're in at 1-800-Flowers, we have 6 major floral holidays. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Passover, Easter, Secretary's Week, which is now called Administrative Professionals Week, and of course Mother's Day. But the good news for us at 1-800-Flowers is that our business has broadened out quite a bit. And we see ourselves in a business of helping our customers express themselves and connect to the people they care about. Now, the ways that they express and connect to the people they care about is with gifts or expressions. So we see ourselves playing on a broader continuum today. So the thing that gets me giddy and excited about our future is that because of our relationship with our customers, because of the collection of brands we've been able to accumulate, because of the assets we've built in our technology and our fulfillment systems, we can service the same number of customers, obviously on a growing number basis, in a broader set of ways, so that whether you want to come to us to send a greeting card electronically to a niece or a nephew at Halloween, or you want to connect to someone with a printed version of that greeting card, or you want to send them a big beautiful gift basket to celebrate the start of a new business relationship at the early part of the year, we have those range of gifts and products and services now. So we can service a lot more customers with a lot better range of products because of the assets we've been lucky enough to
Okay, now
accumulate.
the reason you're here is not only because we like flowers, but this is the program called The Digital Age.
It is? This is what you call the show now?
I think so. Wait a minute. That's what I call it now.
Uh-huh.
And
But if that goes out of fashion, you can change that immediately.
well, I did. I changed it before once. The reason that's relevant to you is because you've got a big net business now. The newspapers have been full of stories how great Christmas was
Yep.
for the internet companies, and the stories are written with this surprise. My golly, what's going on in this business that didn't exist? And so, how you been doing? How did you do in Christmas? I mean, did you have good time?
A good holiday for us.
Good holiday.
Good, solid, sober,
Right.
strong holiday for us. So we had good growth, and as it concerns the digital age, I think it's appropriate that because of your knowledge about that world, and I would suspect your viewers' knowledge about the world, that we dissect it and look at it a little differently. Clearly, in 1990, 91, 92, when we first got involved in the online world,
Let's stop. That's just a perfect time to tell the viewers exactly what happened in 1991 and 92.
well, for us it was a
Can
case
we
of
do that, Spike?
absolutely.
Well, why don't we show?
Oh, what do it?
We'll do it.
You actually have charts, James. I mean,
yeah.
the expense you go to on this show for props.
Oh, but
and
I don't have
charts-
1991 and 92. Oh, okay, let's forget that.
But in 1990, 91, we were a company that changed our little industry a little bit when we became 1-800-Flowers, when we embraced 800 number calling
Use
as
that
our primary
technology.
modality. Yes. So we changed the way things are done a little bit in our business. So we had our antenna up when the next technologies came along, the online world, not yet called the internet. So we started early, so it was not a big investment for us. Private little company, we funded it ourselves. So in 1992, we went online with CompuServe, and in 1994 became the first merchant partner of AOL. So we started in that early, so for us it was evolutionary, not revolutionary. So in 1998, or 95 rather, when Netscape came along in August of 95 with their IPO and changed the internet because it gave us a browser which organized it for us, we were in a good position to take advantage of that. 1999 comes along and the internet bubble is at its full peak and everything is about the internet. Now here we are, a private company, and all of a sudden we have 21 financed competitors.
21 finance
21
competitors?
finance competitors who were just born with free capital that was available at that time, as you so appropriately reported
Really?
on.
21? Well, for example, one would be called...
Well, there were 21 different of them, some of which are gone. There was a company called Send.com, for example, in
I
Boston,
see.
was
Are
going
they
to
all
compete
pretty
with
much
us.
all gone?
All but a couple, all but 2 or 3. And so we felt that, A, we couldn't afford to stay as a private company because our competitors had free capital. And secondly, we wanted to finish building out our technology platform to become the new kind of retailer, which I think we've become now. The good news is we were able to raise that money. The better news is we've survived that shakeout of those companies that didn't belong in the space. And now here we are, a company, 1-800-Flowers, which is a multi-gift company. So the ways that you want to express yourself and connect to those people you care about, we have the right gifts. We have a very unique fulfillment platform that we're able to finish building, which gives us the ability to deliver most of those products the same day you order them, which is a distinct advantage in that expression connection business. And we have a technology platform that we've finished building with that capital that we raised that allows us to be a new age retailer. So any way it's convenient and appropriate for our customers to come to us telephonically, through our stores, through our catalogs, online, through their PDA, on their cell phone, however it's convenient, we have to be there technologically to help our customers what? Act on their thoughtfulness. And part of the proposition for us is to be convenient for our customers. So we have that now. So now we can continue to grow. We have the platform built. We don't have to open up hundreds of stores each year to grow. We can grow on the same platform. So when you talk about our double-digit sales increases each year, that is the same as same-store sales for us because we're the new kind of retailer.
Yeah.
And we will stay multi-channeled. I'm a retailer. Jim, you know I grew up working in retail shops. I love the retail experience. And we try and mimic that in the online world. The irony is, sometimes it's easier to be more personal online than it is in person.
Well, let's
because
talk
of the use
about
of
the future.
technology.
Talk about the future of the company in a few minutes and see if we can focus on a little bit what's going on in the internet, I guess you would call it e-commerce, retail business, generally speaking, because it seems as though there's more vitality, generally speaking, in that business than we were led to believe by all the doomsayers who thought that the bubble had burst forever. For example, it appears that Amazon.com is going to be profitable. And we're going to talk about you in the future, but I would think you guys are going to be profitable.
We already are, Jim.
Already profitable. So what's going on? Is it people doing more shopping at work, do you think? What do you think it is?
Well, I'll take it back further
Okay.
further from that
All right, sure.
level for just a minute. I think we're a good example as a company of what is happening with the e-commerce world. For us, it is already mainstream. That is, our customers aren't even conscious of how they're coming to us. What I mean by that is they're not conscious of whether it's the same customer, Jim Goodale, is calling us on the telephone one day, placing an order online from his office the next day, using one of our catalogs, stopping by one of our shops, interacts with 1-800-Flowers, however it's convenient for Jim to interact with us whenever he wants to. That's mainstream already. So you're seeing in the past holiday season, some of the catalogers say, well, overall our business wasn't that good, but our catalog business was up a lot. Well, that doesn't mean a lot, because if their customers are just responding through the internet as their convenient access channel of choice, well, that's just business that was coming away from the telephone for them. So you're seeing companies say, well, we had a 400% increase, which is easy when you're this big. Yeah. For us, when we're several $100 million online, we are not going to have 400% annual increases in our online business.
Yeah, but
or if we do, I want to recount.
Right.
But we are going to have a good, solid double-digit growth because we're now a multi-channel, mature platform.
Yeah. But what is going on apparently at a variety of these e-commerce companies is even if they're not going up 400% year to year, they're becoming profitable.
Some are. Amazon is not yet, and I believe that they will become profitable. The question is how profitable? What's their return on the equity invested?
What's your return on equity going to? Well, no, we'll get to that in a moment.
Sure. I'd be happy to brag on that a little bit if you'd like.
Well, why don't we just for a moment, before we get to that, since I've gone all this trouble to prepare this chart, why don't we...
Are we going to look at this chart, Jim?
Well, I don't know.
Are there any squiggly lines on it?
There's just two things I want to show in this chart. And see, the chart starts, you start here on June 30, 1998, and there's one number that I want to focus on, 26,684, and for those who don't do millions, that said in 1990, what is that, 1998? 98, actually. You did 26 million plus of internet sales and 159 million of telephone. Okay, fast forward and we'll put the chart down. The number as of June 30th, of course, we're past Christmas now, so that's an old number, was 248 telephone, but here's the number that really catches my attention. 218 million as compared with 26 million in 1998. Isn't that just extraordinary?
Looking back, it is.
10 times. I mean, it's almost 10 times in a very short period of time.
In a 5-year time period. We're seeing that acceleration continue, that trend continue. And I think it's because the internet has become mainstream for most of us already. You already have significant penetration of the home. The good news is it's going to even get better. And what I mean by that is broadband. As broadband proliferates, it's terrific for our business. I know that you want to be one of those rich fat cats in Manhattan and one of those digital early adopters.
Here you've got 500 million. You keep calling me a fat cat.
Well, I'm just trying to live up to your standards here, Jim. When you look at the digital age that you report on, as you've discussed the proliferation of the broadband world, that has even more bearing on the future for us because our customers who have broadband, you said a lot of your customers, you guessed, order from the office, and that's true.
That's
why?
Which is broadband in a sense.
Yes, because most offices have high-speed connections.
I see.
And it's much more convenient. Well, the majority of the residential world still does not. And the online experience with a dial-up modem, no matter how fast they are, still is a pretty junky experience. But as they get broadband now, those customers of ours who are broadband accessible customers are much more frequent customers, and that's good for us because if they come to us online versus the telephone, they see the breadth of our product offerings that we can't possibly tell them about on the telephone. It's a little bit less expensive for us to handle those customers, and we can shower them with more services consequently. And so we have an e-dialogue with those customers. Those customers tell us, hey, please remind me about these 3 birthdays and this anniversary that I never want to forget again, and we can do that. And so the internet allows us, again, to be more personal with our customers. So when you come to our website now, we'll be offering a service in the next couple of months where you can personalize our store for you.
Let's just
so
go.
we remember who you want to send to, what gifts they like to get, what they last got, and that's all using technology. So Walmart, for example, a company we all admire and respect in terms of what they've achieved, spends all this money on technology and logistics. What do they not save on? They still have greeters at the door. Because they make it a warmer, more personal experience.
Just go back to your point about more online. I won't put the chart up again. I'll refresh your recollection. If you look at...
I might remember.
If you look at the amount of sales you had for June 30, you had 248 and 218 respectively, telephone and online, which is almost 50-50.
Well, in your world, it's 50-50. When you're rounding out those bills that you would send out for the law firm, we'll wind it up
right.
an extra $50 million.
The question is, sir, how do you see that as time goes out?
Well, for the year that we're halfway through now, we expect that the majority of our business, except for some things we might do in the acquisition area, majority of our business would be online. That trend continues. And I would expect as the online world gets richer, as broadband proliferates further, that our telephonic business, which we've misforecast its decline,
it's done very well.
3 years in a row, is still growing.
It's still doing
But
well.
over time, you'll see the web continue to grow as a more important, as the most important channel for our input. Those customers still periodically come back to us and order on the telephone subsequently. But we like that environment because of all the things we can do with our customers to serve them better.
Okay, now, you had, as you were growing, a huge hunk of expenses. I don't know why I keep going back to this chart, and I'm going to add this up wrong. But
well, I'll tell you what it was.
Yeah.
Been around now for 26 years. I started the company when I was 2 years old. and during those 26 years, we were always self-financed. And so we were forced to be profitable to grow, which we were for 23 of those years. And then for 3 of those years, we decided deliberately to raise money in the public marketplace to finance this pretty dramatic expansion.
Sure. Why not?
And because there was nothing out there we could buy to do it a different way.
Right.
So we spent about $90 million on our technology platform over those few years.
Okay, can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
When you first came on this program, which was when you were 2 years old.
Oh, 2.5, I think.
2.5 years old. You told me that the technology expense was one that somewhat surprised you because it was so expensive to go online. And I think that the number that you used then in terms of the cost of the technology, I'm not saying this was your future number, but you were looking at a number that was, say, 40 million.
Well, that's what we'd spent to date when we were on the program. We had spent at that point $40 million, and then we subsequently spent another 50 to bring us to a total of about $90 million expenditure just on the technology infrastructure. The irony is, when we first started in the online world in the early 90s, it cost you $50,000 to launch a website on the high side.
Yeah.
Now, you can't get into those businesses because the expectation set of the customers, the needs you have in terms of alternate hot sites, web farms, file servers, the whole back end in terms of memory storage is so terribly expensive that in a very short period of time, 8 years, it went from being the least expensive way to get into business to now probably the most expensive way. You could not go out and replicate Amazon today. Could not be done financially because the cost of these things has gone up. So we have 3 hot sites for our web server farm. We have 2 additional hot sites for our back-end data storage. That's extremely expensive to develop, and a startup company could not ever afford to do that.
And you took you had the courage to spend the money, and you lost a big hunt 2 or 3 years ago. And
we invested. So yes, it shows up as losses. But we invested, let's call it $100 million.
Yeah, I was going to say.
To more than double the size of our company.
Right.
To put $80 million that we have in the bank, to have no debt, and to have a company that's growing in solid double digits with return on invested capital, to your question before, estimated by people on Wall Street at somewhere between 60 and 85%. So
how do you, now I'm going to question you on your math.
Okay.
I was going to say, those years where you spend $100 million, you lost a lot of money, which is what you should be doing.
$100 million we invested to double the size of our company in those 3 years.
And this last year, but not the coming year, you're almost broke even, and it looks to me like you're making, what are you making money as we speak?
We're expected this year to generate about $30 million of EBITDA for the current fiscal year with about $15 million in free cash, and that's expected to jump by a multiple for the next fiscal year.
So you spent all this money, And I think what you said before, you don't have to spend it anymore.
Well, we are always spending money. We'll have capital expenditures this year, but they're on an incremental basis now versus build the foundation. You know, if you're going to open up a big department store, which we are online for gifts, you have to build the store. We already built the store. We don't have to build another. We already have the store, and our incremental spend will cover our growth costs.
But what did you spend all the money on? Because it was it software?
There was a lot of lavish parties and corporate aircraft.
Excuse me, I'm not supposed to laugh. Try not to laugh.
When you have 130 people in your engineering effort, you have consulting companies all building that the hardware platform, the Sun servers, the mainframes that you have to put in, the network. We have 4 large service centers that we built around the country that we own. We're trying to be an asset-light company, but when it comes to the people who talk to our customers on the telephone, who service our customers online, we want them to be our people in our facilities, and we've always been that way. So we have 1,200 seat service center capacity. We have a virtual network of another several hundred beyond that. So we have these wonderful facilities in Oklahoma and New Mexico and in Virginia and New York. We have warehouses around the country. So it doesn't come for nothing. You know, it may look like that to you guys who make us all dance through hoops as your servant, as we are as a retail provider to you. But it takes a lot of money to build all that stuff. The good news is we got it. And so we don't owe anybody for it.
but will it take a lot of money to keep it going?
No, I'll give you for instance. Capital expenditures. For the last few years, we've been spending on CapEx, $25, $26, $27 million. This year it'll be about $13 million. And we think that's where it'll stay for the next several years to keep us upgrading all the time. That software is expensive to develop, but it knocks your costs down every year.
So
we haven't raised our prices in 10 years.
Really?
So if you haven't raised your prices in 10 years, and you're still delivering more and more products, and it costs you more and more to do business, how do you do that? Good investments in technology that knock our costs down, so that we can not have to raise our prices to the customer. While our prices have been going up of things that we buy, and that technology is the investment. That's why those productivity numbers that you report on, that you see in the national economic numbers, have been increasing. Is because we're getting the yield on the technology as a country that we've invested in.
So how were you able to do this and the other e-commerce companies weren't?
Good fortune, being from a good business, a good, solid, steady business, and I think taking advantage of the things that came our way, being opportunistic, realizing that the floral business is a wonderful business to come from. It helps people express themselves to people they care about. So that's a good foundation business, and being judicious about how we expanded upon that.
Do you really think that the fact that you already had a name, as they say, brand 1-800 Flowers, really helped you a lot, because all you had to do is add .com to it and everyone knew who you were, whereas if you were one of your competitors' name, I've now forgotten, it didn't have any brand recognition?
I think one of the things that we were fooled by during the bubble was how hard it is to create a brand.
I see.
Now we have wonderful brands like eBay and Amazon that were created during that time.
Right.
And I think we missed the fact that that was a phenomenon. Those companies caught lightning in a bottle.
I see. And the other companies couldn't do it.
It's not going to happen very often. It's 1 in a million shot that happens. So the fact that we had a well-known name, and we were append to it the .com, so we could tell our customers the 2 convenient ways that they could reach us, was a great benefit to us. But I think a lot of companies said, well, if Amazon can do it and eBay can do it, I can create Blue Butterfly into a great corporate brand name. Well, it's awfully difficult. And you know what? I think it's getting a lot more difficult to create a brand name.
Because you have so many brands, not so many, but
the media is so diverse.
Media is diverse, but you've established a niche. Amazon apparently is going to establish a niche. It's going to be very hard to go up against those guys.
I think
against you.
I think it's going to be very hard.
You still have any competitors left?
Unfortunately, there are still competitors left. I don't know why they don't just give up. But yes, I think it's going to become more difficult to go against those established brands who keep investing in themselves. And I think it's going to become even a lot harder to create consumer brands other than those few that catch lightning in a bottle from a PR point of view. Let's face it, eBay's brand is so much better known than the dollars they've spent to make that happen, because they were the example of the phenomenon that every media reports on. While they have a wonderful business and they've done a great job on it, I think Meg Whitman would admit that their brand is a lot better known than you might guess at by just viewing at what they've spent on media to promote the brand. And that's a phenomenon, and I don't like business plans that count on phenomenons happening.
That's very interesting. So, will 1,000 flowers bloom here? What's the future hold for 1-800-Flowers.com?
I would say there's a mighty nice scent coming from our garden.
Is that all you do, is make flowers?
We
Well,
make
we
flowers and a
we
few
say
other
we
things.
give you a plug here. Maybe the camera go down to this paraphernalia we have in
Excuse
front
me,
of me.
Jim, and what is wrong with a plug?
Nothing's wrong with the plug, but I don't know if I get the camera to go look at it. I guess not.
Well, the
But
good-
anyway, what we've got here, oh yeah, there we go. They can see all
The good news is we've expanded the product line nicely. We have everything from all those wonderful gift baskets, those spa baskets, those health food baskets. We don't sell very many health food baskets, by the way, Jim. But our junk food baskets are number one
food,
seller.
right.
And of course, our tins of popcorn that we have with the 3 different kinds of popcorn, the butter, the cheese, and the caramel popcorn. Just different ways that people can express themselves and connect. And it's fun for us and challenging for me personally because I'm the official taste tester of all our candy, popcorn, cheesecakes, and our bakery products.
I don't know. It doesn't look it.
Oh,
Do you
trust
think
me.
you'd get up to $1 billion?
If we do, that'd be great. It's not a goal. My goal personally is I think we can be a lot bigger than that, but we don't have incremental goals on dollars per se beyond this year.
Well, we've come to the end of this great show.
We haven't. Don't tell me that, Jim.
Yes, it has.
At the beginning of the year, I thought we could do this maybe for months on end.
So we ought to be a comedy show with you. But anyway, so the issue tonight is, will 1-800-Flowers.com become like 1,000 flowers? So we can say, let 1,000 flowers bloom about 1-800-Flowers.com?
I think your tense is wrong. It's already happened, Jim.
Jim McCann, thanks a lot
Happy
for coming
New Year.
by. This is our 4th, 5th, 3rd, whatever it is. Thank
Let's
you
count
for
it down.
Count it down. And thank you for stopping by to watch The Digital Age. Come back next week and learn more about the digital age. For The Digital Age, I am James Goodale. Good night.